So let's get to the guides. Though first of all, this is our 5-1 rotation. And the out one should be in the front. Middle blocker goes in the front too. The setter on the front, the oppo on the left back row, libero on the middle, and the out two, which is he's gonna first to serve. Now he's going to serve. Then you have to do is going to go to the position that we have. As you guys, another rotation, you goes into clockwise. Then the setter serve and then going back to the position. Now there's another rotation. Now the libero is in the front row, so it's going to sub a middle blocker 1. Then a middle blocker go to serve, and then the middle blocker 2 should be covering short because it's just a job without a libero. Now, as you lose the game, the middle blocker is sub by the libero. Then if you win again, now the rotation is up and the outside one should be in back row and then outside 2 should be in front row. Now the outside will serve and then you'll go back to the position. As you can see, outside 2 and outside 1 was switched because outside 2 is in front and the outside 1 is in the back row. So outside 1 will be covering longs. Now, then another rotation. Then the opposite hitter will go to serve. And then going back to the defensive position. As another rotation, another clockwise. Then a show ups at libero is in front row. So a middle blocker 2 is going to sub. Then a middle blocker 1 is going to serve. Then it's going back to the position. Now a middle blocker 1 is in the back row, so it goes to covering shorts. Now if you lose the game, you can sub by the libero of the middle blocker 1. Then the game continues. After you win the game, you're going to rotation and then that's it. You repeat serves, then position. That's all for the rotation. Now for the defensive form, we have here a rotation here. We have this rotation and then we're going to do a defensive form. This is called a dagger form. It has a special benefits that can cover the whole court. Once you, where do you want to position? Outside one will be positioned here and the middle blocker will position on the middle. On the outside, on the front, that is called a front row. The front row should be positioned on the front, while on outside 2 and libero should be back row. That means they should receive onto the very back of the court and covering corners. That should be like a serves covering very deep line. So if for the example, an opponent serve, then a libero got the ball, and you'll go into the position. Now, this is our position when going to set by the setter. And for example, the outside got the set and hits the ball. That's what we call a defensive form. Now, on the positioning, we have here that you got the position, then the opponent is about to spike. For the example, then outsider was about to spike. Then this is our position. Middle blocker should be blocked cuts, and the setter should be blocked straight. We position our opposite spiker into long right because sometimes it's go dunk in. You're gonna dunk the spike, and the outside two should be positioning in the left long, and the outside one should be covering in his position, and the libero covering shorts. Now for the example, the outside two got the receive, then go into position and go into set. Now for the another one and got the sets of the opposite hitter, outside one should be blocking straight, and while the middle blocker should be blocking cuts. So as you can see, there's no outside two in here covering straight because outside one should be in blocking at the opposite hitter because the opposite hitter has a slow set that we can get a momentum to block that. So this is our position when covering the opposite hitter spiker. Now this is our the outside hitter is 2 is not positioned here, so this is an optional if the blocker isn't covering straight. So let's get back to the positioning. Now as the spiker spiked the ball, and for example the opposite hitter got the ball and then he going ready to set. Now for the last time, if the middle blocker spike a quicks, there's a chances that the middle blocker cannot block that. So you're going to position your position. You should cover your position. If not, this is what happened. It's going to ball to the straight and you cannot get the ball. If the setter set the back row pipe or bolt set, for example, you need to position yourself in the very back, even the libero, and the outside one, middle blocker 2 and setter should be triple blocks because it has a back row. For example, the setter is going to set into the ball, which means from the originality of serving. So they go into position the back and the blocker will go into blocks, and they have the libero got the ball, and then you go into position and you go into set. These are the common mistake that I found in the pickups. For the example here, that we have a outside one and middle blocker 2 is going to block the opposite hitter, and the libero and outside 2 are covering behind the blocks, which means it's not a good idea because the blockers is blocking this straight. So the best idea is to cover here because it's an open area that is going to cover. The next one is this positioning of the opposite hitter and the outside too. Then which mean only libero covering shorts. So the opposite hitter and outside hitter second is not a good idea, covering shorts. So, which means we're gonna to change this mistake into covering longs. Sure, yes, because sometimes their spiker going to spike longs. So, as for the tips, as covering longs and shorts, reading animation is better than reaction time. If you have a grand bar reaction, just go read the spiker's animation and where they're aiming at. At a receiving a serve, 6 to 5 powers when receiving a serves, and 5 to 3 powers when receiving a spikes, depending on how far on the you are on the setter position. Please always aim to the setter position when receiving a ball. As a setter, sometimes our team as a setter, it's hard to retrieve a ball when you got a corner PT. Yes, it's so hard. As a libero, always cover shorts and cover spikes mistake over the net. Please cover the spikers as they misses the spikes. Please, as go over the net. Always mind your position. That's your job to cover your position, even you are blocking no matter what. As a outside hitter one, if the setter set the outside hitter on the opponent, you should cover your positions. And if the as a setter, if the setter sets the opposite hitters, you should cover your position. And that's it. So thank you for watching this video.